Welcome to Talk Purpose and Truth with Eden and Kim, shifting you into higher consciousness, the show that elevates, uplifts, and encourages listeners to grow, heal, awaken, and evolve. Eden and Kim include bold topics, special interviews with inspiring guests, intuitive readings, channeled messages from beyond, including celebrities, hot topics to expand your awareness, and time for questions from the audience. Tune in for unprecedented truth, authenticity, on-purpose discussions, and magical moments.
Glenn Marston is the founder, and this is Pervis. This is a campaign that is global, and they started in Australia, and it's actually growing in the UK and all over America. And it's to reduce the stigma around mental health issues and suicide issues using social media, photography, and videos. It's really, really fascinating and amazing. And you have a book that's specifically focused on helping men of color process emotions and mental health. So can you tell us a little bit more about your book and the 4 A's of your Surthrival mode?
Oh, wow. Okay, so Surthrival Mode is a book that I wrote in response to the things that I've been through in my life. In my life, I dealt with being molested and bullied and emasculated. And I've also counseled and coached men who have been through the same thing, and maybe not the same thing, but they've been through pain. And I wanted to write a book that honored our experiences and honored the steps that we took to get to the place of wholeness, the place that we're all at, where all the men that I've worked with in that capacity are now thriving. And so I was like, what was the common thing that we all did that got us to this place of wholeness and optimization and all that good stuff? And I was like, okay, so then I was like, okay, so there were like 4 A's. Like I kept listing them and they were like turned into A's. And I was like, okay, so the first one was acknowledgement, right? You always have to acknowledge that an issue exists. You have to acknowledge that there's a wound. And, I always say that Alcoholics Anonymous is the most successful recovery program because every meeting you go to, you say, my name is Pervis and I'm an alcoholic. So you acknowledge the problem every time. And so I was like, there's power in acknowledging an issue. Next, which is difficult for a lot of people, not just men, is the acceptance, right? Acceptance is powerful because, a lot of times we look at acceptance as we condoned what happened. And that's not what acceptance is. Acceptance is saying that this happened, and now I'm responsible for my life afterwards. So even though this happened to me, I'm responsible for what happens from me. And so like that was the acceptance. Acceptance is saying like this happened. I was bullied. I've been homeless. My father died of a heroin overdose. That I had to accept that. And there was power in that because once I accepted it, I was no longer the victim. Right. So once I accepted it. So then the next step is articulation, which is very challenging for men because on average, they say women speak 30,000 words a day. They say men speak 10,000 words a day. Right. And I believe that healing is in our words. Like when you coaching and in therapy, all those things, they're an exchange of words, and words are spirits and words are powerful. And so I wanted to get men to be able to expand their emotional lexicons, to expand, to use things like sensory language to build further connection. Because particularly with men of color, when men of color that I've worked with, they're like, Pervis, I'm tight, or I feel away. And I was like, I don't know what that means. So let's flush that out so I can really understand so you can contextualize your experience to get the healing that you need. So there was articulation, like explaining what happened and how this thing has affected you, because there's power in declaring and confession. Only what you confess can be healed, right? And lastly is alchemy, which is my favorite one. Alchemy at its core is just turning lead into gold, right? And so for me, how do you turn the lead in your life into gold? How did I transform the things that mastered me into things that I now master? How did I, who was emasculated as a man, now empower men in their masculinity? If I can do it, you can do it as well. And I always say that no one is born ill-equipped, they're just born ill-informed. And the alchemy part is informing you that you have the tools you need to master your life, to maximize your life experience. And so that's really what the book is about, is getting men from surviving to thriving within their emotions and mental health.
Oh my gosh, you are a wise man.
Thank you.
Yes. I mean, it sounds like it just comes naturally to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does. I'm not going to lie, it does.
Yeah. And I understand that, not putting myself in the same category. boasting, anything like that, but I get it. I get that if you're so tuned in, then you can really, you hear things. You hear
Yes.
from a higher place.
Yes.
Is that how you feel?
Absolutely. Every single time. Every single time. And I always talk about the sixth sense, which is the intuition and spirit.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. In communication, especially with emotional intelligence and mental health, you have to use that sixth sense as well.
And everybody has it.
Yeah,
I know. Kim and I, I think she's mentioned to you what we do. We don't have to talk about it, but we completely understand
yes.
what that means, because we do that for our work. We do that to help people. So yeah, but I know.
Right. And I think people just get afraid of it sometimes because it is pretty powerful. You know?
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Your stomach, the gut has as many neurons as the brain.
Yeah, it's your second brain, right?
It's your second brain.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but not everybody listens to that.
I do.
Yes, I know. I can tell. I can really tell.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so my next question, this is also something that I think I saw this quote. It was a quote that you put up on Instagram recently. It says, wholeness doesn't mean perfection or one won't experience pain again. It means that one knows how to master the things that once mastered them. What does that mean? What does this mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, that's because I think we think of wholeness, we think like perfection and like this euphoria type of existence, but that's not life, that's not reality. The more you progress in life, the greater the challenges are. Yeah. And so once you know how to make it through one level, you know how to make it next. And that's being whole, meaning like I still know who I am. I still know my power. I still know that I'm amazing. I still know all these things. Because, a lot of times we believe a lie. And that lie is what derails our life, that derails us from becoming the person that we're supposed to become. Mm-hmm. And so it's really about confronting that lie and the various lies that show up as different levels as you progress to different levels. And so that's what I mean by wholeness, is like, you know how to master the things that try to master you.
Yeah. So amazing. Like as you're talking, I'm like thinking back and able to relate to so many things that I've learned throughout my life too.
Yeah, no, and that's what it's, and our lessons, those are lessons, and that's what makes us great coaches, is that we live life, is that we've experienced pain, that we've been through hell.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's what makes us dynamic coaches.
Yeah, and I know I'm not supposed to, it's not my turn to say this, but Kim, to ask a question. Kim, I want to ask this. I feel like the audience might even want to know, when you talk about experiencing pain, we all have to go through that. Like, what kind of pain are you willing to talk about that? Your own personal pain. Okay.
Of course.
Will you share?
I mean, I was telling somebody the other day, it's like stuff never leaves you. And I think that's important for it not to leave you. I think you should always be able to tap into it, because that's the thing that kind of, the empathy that you have with your clients, that connection. So, I mean, just struggling with suicide ideation as a child, being bullied, emasculated, feeling like, even as an adult, when my father died of a heroin overdose, feeling inadequate as a man, not being able to achieve, and kind of being like behind. Like, a lot of my friends who are my age are like, in my mind, they seem like they progressed so much further than me. They have families. They have, you know what I mean? I'm not married yet. I don't have any children. And just that pain of just being the unique individual that I am. People don't know that being a coach, or being the type of coach that I am, comes with its own set of pain. Because a lot of people can't, and you understand this, like, people can't relate to that burden that you carry. And so it's a heavy burden, because oftentimes I'm not allowed to be a human being. I have to kind of always have it together. And that's in itself is a challenge. Like, people are like, oh, Pervis, you got it. You just have to do that. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not that simple. And a lot of times I'm carrying pain for other people. And, what I feel in the world, or, you know what I mean? It's very deep. And I think a lot of times people don't talk about that stuff.
Oh, yeah. The universal pain that's going on right now.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I know. Heaviness. Very, very much. Oh, my goodness. Kim and I have had many conversations about that, having to figure out how to balance that, or what we like to do is cut cords. I don't know if you know what that means. Okay, yeah.
like I had to fight to get into the gifted and talented program, even though I had the grades and the test scores, right? And it was like I was the first young man of color to be in the gifted and talented program in the town that I'm from, and I had to fight my way into that. And so it became this point for me where it was like I started to realize that I was amazing, and I just never factored race into anything that I do. So when I show up in the room, because I own who I am, but I also recognize that exists. I think for me, I think that it's exhausting in trying to get people to see the inequities. I think that part is exhausting, but I love being Black. I think it's an amazing experience. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're such beautiful people. So for me, I kind of I understand the inequity, and it does anger me and it does bother me. But also on the flip side, I also don't like to lend myself towards victimization.
Yes.
I like to lend myself towards being empowered. And so we as Black people, we're so amazing, and I love it. And you know what I mean? And I'm not ashamed to say I love being a Black man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, if that makes sense, like I kind of try to be as balanced as I can with it, because it does piss me off. But also at the same time, I feel empowered.
Yeah. Okay. And we have more than one side of.
Yeah.
For more information on Eden, go to edensustin.com. For more information on Kim, go to kimlifecoach.com. Make sure to follow them on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Talk Purpose and Truth Podcast. If you loved this episode, you'll love every episode. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. Thank you for listening.